All right. We are going to get started here in a minute. Now, I have never done a webinar before. I do a lot of teaching, but I always teach in person. So, first thing I want to do is make sure that you can hear me. If you can hear me, go to the bottom of your screen and we have a Q&A section where we want you to put all your questions if you have any, and just type in yes if you can hear me. Type in no if you cannot hear me. So just let me know that you can hear me. I don't want to be rambling on when you can't hear me. So please let me know if you can hear me. Fantastic. Thank you, Iva. Okay. So good morning, afternoon, evening, depending upon where you are. So we're going to have, we're going to be talking about digestion today. We're going to be talking about the prime thing. There's many things that cause our digestion to be messed up. But if we don't have if we haven't sealed up the leaky gut, all the rest of it is completely for naught. There's just no reason to have any of it if we haven't sealed up the leaky gut. So we're going to talk a little bit about that today. There's a 20-minute movie. We have put together a movie about a specific program that we have put together just for the digestive system. The great thing about it is you don't have to be in Tucson to do it. We put together a program based on functional medicine principles, and we can connect through Zoom. I do probably half of my patients don't even live in Arizona, and we just connect through Zoom. We use meetings for Zoom. This is the first webinar I've done, but it's through Zoom, very similar. So if you registered for this webinar, you will receive an email with a link to get the PDFs. There's 3 PDFs in this. We'll talk about them as we go through the talk here today. But if you did register, you will get that link. If you did not register, you need to send, if you want the PDF, you need to send me your email address to Dr. T, TucsonFunctionalMedicine.com. You can see the right there on your screen. And if you would like me to contact you to discuss the program, your options, things like that, we do it for free, just to let people know, just to see, because a lot of people think functional medicine is going to be a fit for them, and then it might not be. And we don't want you wasting time or money on something that isn't going to work for you. And so we have a free, what we call a discovery appointment. We do a lot of them on the internet, just like what we're doing now. And so it becomes just a time to sit down and kind of talk about you and what's going on with you. So that's me. That's one of my dogs. I love dogs. And I love the healers, the Australian cattle dogs. So I am a doctor of chiropractic, DC. I am a doctor of naturopathic, ND, and I am a certified functional medicine provider. Currently, that's the only thing you can get in functional medicine, but if a person isn't actually certified, I would be leery. There's a lot of people out there that just think that because they are naturopaths or something like that, that they can do functional medicine. And since I have the naturopathic degree and the certification, they are very different. So here in Tucson, I had a lady, and she came in and talked to me, and she said, oh, well, I'm already seeing somebody that's in functional medicine. I said, oh, really? Who? And she gave me the person's name, and I thought, because I'd never heard of this person. And here in Tucson, we only have 2 certified functional medicine doctors. So I went to this doctor's website, and there wasn't a word on the website about functional medicine, because if you put it on your website, you have to be able to back it up and prove that you actually do it. Now, our website is TucsonFunctionalMedicine.com. And we have our entire webinar schedule on there. By the end of the weekend, I will have links below every single one of the scheduled that you can just hit it and schedule for July if you want to do right now. If you're on my email list, you will get updates and everything like that. I teach at all the 4 natural grocers until the end of this month. That's why we're going to the webinars. Most of the people on my email list do not live in Tucson, so they're not getting any benefit from the teaching I'm doing at the natural grocers. So here we go. 60% of Americans now have a chronic disease. 40% of Americans have 2 or more chronic diseases. Life expectancy in America is actually decreasing for the first time in decades. The last 7 years, life expectancy has decreased every single year. Now, these statistics are a little bit old because it says we're spending $3.3 trillion on healthcare a year, and we're actually spending $4.1 trillion on healthcare every year now. So we got most of our people, life expectancy is going down. We're being faced with a horrible deluge of chronic disease. And what we offer is individual, custom-built health plans that focus on the underlying cause of your health issue, helping you restore the quality of your life and enjoy the life that you deserve. Medical doctors and the medical system is focused on disease. I'm not against that. I mean, we need to know if you have a disease. But they're not really focused on chronic disease as far as fixing the problem, and they're not that concerned about your quality of life. Now, they're important. I mean, I always tell people, if I get run over by a truck today, don't take me to a functional medicine doctor. I want to go to the ER, and I want some pain pills. But I don't want to be on the pain pills a year from now. And that's really the difference. We are the quality of life doctors. We're the doctors that address your health concerns. And we don't just say, oh, your blood sugar's high. Here's some glucophage or metformin. We say, why is your blood sugar high? And what is causing your blood sugar to go up? Is it a bad diet? Is it the fact that you don't have enough hydrochloric acid in your stomach? Is it because you don't have enough enzymes? I mean, there's all kinds of reasons that you could have high blood sugar. The medical doctors, as a general rule, they will give you a general blood sugar lower because they just want to lower your blood sugar. We want to find out why and fix the why. Most people don't care if they take pills temporarily. Temporarily. That's really the key. We shouldn't be on pills for the rest of our life, whether they be supplements or whether they be pharmaceuticals. We just shouldn't. There's a reason they're called supplements, because they should be supplemental to your lifestyle. So Hippocrates said this: all disease begins in the gut. And with the discoveries that we've discovered since 1999, this is becoming even more factual and more dynamic in the effect that the digestive system is having on the entire rest of the body. So we hear this all the time. I went to my primary care doctor. They did a bunch of tests. They told me everything was good. Why do I feel so crappy if everything is good? Because they're not going to doctors that are focused on your quality of life. They'll give you a drug that helps your symptom, which I'm not against that, but they're not that interested in your quality of life. Functional medicine is completely about your quality of life. And we are about improving your quality of life. And one of the tenets of functional medicine is to teach you to need the doctor less. Healthcare comes from you understanding what's going on in your body and you having the tools to be able to take care of it, or at least deal with it, and then know whether it's something that's out of your control, and then you go to a doctor or not. And you need to be empowered. And that's something that we've kind of got out of in America. The medical doctor is the one responsible for my health. And there's a time and a place for that. But we need to put the power of healthcare back in the patient's hands. So these are our core values here at Tucson Functional Medicine. With you, we co-create health. All chronic disease has a root cause. I don't care what disease it is, it has a root cause. The patient determines the outcome, not the clinician. Your healthcare plan should be based around you. It shouldn't be based around me. It shouldn't be based around the government or the insurance company. It should be based around you and what you want. And I always tell people, if I was put in charge of redesigning healthcare, there would be a lot more care in our healthcare system, because the system has become about the system. And I used to be heavy in the working in hospitals and all this kind of stuff. And I was just this cog in this huge machine. And the patient becomes an afterthought. In fact, I used to work at Sunnyside Hospital up in Portland, Oregon, and I was called into the administrator's office, and that's like being called into the principal's office. It was never good. And I went in there and I'm thinking, oh, great, I'm going to get fired or something. And I went in there and he tells me, he says, Dr. T, your patients love you. We get letters about you all the time. Your patients really, really like you. And you get better outcomes than any doctor in our hospital. Your patients actually get well. He said, there's only one problem, Dr. T. You got to triple the amount of patients that you're seeing. Because I was spending too much time with people. Because you can only help people actually become better if you spend the time with them to figure out what in the world's going on. And that's not really a focus too much. There's always exception doctors, and they're great doctors. And if you got one, I'm really happy for you. But most of the doctors now, it's all numbers. Everything is numbers. And the way medicine is now, they usually sit with their back to you, typing away on a keyboard, because the paperwork for doctors is just gone up exponentially. But we are here for you. You are not here for us. We are here for you. And so you're the one that should determine the outcome. And when we build a plan for you, we sit down, and one of our questions is, what do you expect to get from this? What is it you want? What would be a successful health plan for you? And that's how we build the thing around, because you're the key. I'm a guide. I can help you. I'm good at what I say is I'm good at putting rocks in the creek, so you can walk on the rocks and not get wet. But you're the traveler. You're the one that actually has to do it. I can't make you healthy. I can help you. And I have a gift. I am very, very good at taking complex concepts, biochemistry, stuff like that, and distilling it down to something that you can take home and actually use. I don't use big words. I'm not here to impress you with my degrees or, the big words that I know. What I'm here to impress you with is your results. And that's what you're here for in the first place. So who's this seminar for? It's someone who's looking for the root cause of their issues. If you're looking to get to the cause, fix the cause, functional medicine is the key to you. Someone who deeply values their time. If you actually spend the time to get to the underlying cause, which might take a little bit more time treating it, but then it's fixed and you don't have to deal with it for the next 10 years. Someone is at the end of their rope. It's like that girl that we saw a couple of slides back. Everything's fine. I went to the doctor, but man, I just feel like crap. And that's the thing. People are so frustrated. You make an appointment for 3 months from now to see your doctor. And then when it finally comes up, you go sit in the waiting room for an hour and a half. And that's only going to get worse. That's the sad part about what's coming. And then they take you and they put you in what I call the extended waiting room, where somebody takes your blood pressure and you sit there another 30, 45 minutes. And then the doctor pops in and probably spends somewhere between 7 to 10 minutes with you. The average, I think, is 8 minutes now in the US, but the doctor actually spends with you. And I don't care who you are. You cannot solve somebody's problem in 8 minutes. Someone who's witnessed the limitations of healthcare. Healthcare is wonderful when it comes to surgeries, when it comes to infections, it comes to antibiotics, stuff like that, emergency room stuff. Our system is one of the best in the world, if not the best. So I don't want to lose that part of it. But when you get into a chronic disease, what we're doing is managing that chronic disease with drugs. That's really where we are now. Someone who's proactive. If you're proactive and if you want to get healthy, stay healthy, have the tools to maintain this health for the rest of your life, you're in the right place. So here's what we're going to cover. Hippocrates was correct. All disease begins in the gut. You can never improve the quality of your life if you do not heal the gut. Giving you an opportunity to see if this is something that might work for you, if you're interested in that when we get through with all that. Because we do meet with people, 30 minutes free of charge. I just don't think it's fair to charge you and then tell you I can't help you, or you find out that, this isn't for me. It's not what I like. We want people to understand what we do. If you understand it, you will share it with friends. And that's how we build this. We build this. Healthcare doesn't come from who we elect. Healthcare doesn't come from what plan you have. Healthcare comes from you making the decisions to make your life better and taking the action. So fix the gut, save your life. You cannot be healthy if you do not fix your gut. So leaky gut, which naturopaths have been talking about for probably 100 years, medical doctors would not even acknowledge that it existed until the year 2000. Okay. But what does this affect? What does your gut affect? It affects your skin, your thyroid, your colon, your adrenals, all your joints, your sinuses, your mouth, your brain. So your gut affects absolutely everything. And this guy changed everything. His name is Dr. Gershon. And in 1999, he discovered that your gut has as many neurons as your brain and your spinal cord. Everything that runs your brain and your spinal cord is found in the gut. So serotonin and dopamine and epinephrine and all these things that we used to think were only located in the brain, now we're finding out they're in the digestive tract too. And the other thing that's fascinating about this is the digestive system does not need the brain to operate. The digestive system can operate independent of the brain. And if you think about it, that makes sense because everything that the brain has in it is found in your digestive system. And this is the book that he wrote called The Second Brain. Great book. If you're interested in this, you should get that book and read it. But what we are now opening up is, what about all these brain problems? Can they be dealt with through the digestive tract? And this is what we're finding. This is just a brand new way of thinking. We kind of always separated the brain from everything else. Well, what can we do with Alzheimer's, dementia, all the autoimmune diseases? How about ADD, ADHD, things like this? We're now finding that our greatest way to get to these can be through the digestive system. Brand new stuff. It's only been around for, about 20 years. In the year 2000, Dr. Alessio Fasano, if that isn't Italian, I don't know what is. He's a pediatric doctor back east. The medical profession would not acknowledge that leaky gut existed until the year 2000. In the year 2000, Dr. Fasano discovered zonulin. Now, zonulin is a marker for things leaking out of the gut. And so now we have the scientific proof. Now, the naturopaths have been talking about it, but we never had any scientific proof to prove it. But what we had was, we knew that the results of stuff leaking out the gut was what we were seeing, but we didn't have the science. Well, in the year 2000, Dr. Fasano discovered zonulin, so now we have the science. So the medical profession now acknowledges it exists, but they won't call it leaky gut. They call it hyperpermeable intestinal syndrome, which are big words for leaky gut. So now we have the proof. So this is what is going on, okay? So this is what we're supposed to have. These are called tight junctions, and they're these spaces in between the cells. So this is the stomach area, and this is the inside of the body, okay? And what's supposed to happen is these tight junctions are supposed to hold the food inside the stomach and toxins inside the stomach, and not allow the food to transfer through the lining of the gut until the food has been broken down to a point where that food can now be in the bloodstream and taken to the cells and utilized by the cells, because that's how we make energy, in the cells. The other thing that these tight junctions are supposed to do is they're supposed to hold the toxins out here and never let them in to the body. So let's put this in perspective. A tight junction is 1 to 3 microns. What in the world is that? Well, if we put it into perspective, a red blood cell, which we cannot see with the human eye, is 7 to 9 microns. So we're talking about these tight junctions can be almost 10% of the size of a red blood cell that we can't even see. When we get leaky gut, this would be an example of a leaky gut, this can be between 100 and 300 microns. So what happens is it starts to break up, and so then larger particles can start to transfer through that bigger space, and then the problem just keeps getting worse. And so pretty soon we can transfer huge things in the body's perspective through these big spaces into the bloodstream. They're now saying that probably 95 or more % of food allergies are not actually allergies. What they actually are these way too large particles have been able to get through the gut lining into the bloodstream, but the body can't use them because they're too large to be used by the cells and put into the mitochondria to be used to make energy. And so if we can heal up the gut, and get it back to these tight junctions, no matter whether you have bacterial infections, whether your microbiome isn't going okay, if you have leaky gut, all of that work will be for naught. There'll be absolutely no reason to do the work on the microbiome or probiotics or all that kind of stuff, because none of that's going to matter because you got these big holes. And so how I describe this to my patients is like a garden hose, and I take an ice pick and I just punch a bunch of holes in the garden hose. Now, it's not that we're not going to get any water down the end, because if that happened and we never got any food, we'd die. But we still get food, but now I got little streams of water coming out all the length of the garden hose. And the other thing that can come through here now is what? Toxins that should be kept out here can now pass through this space and get into the bloodstream. And now all of a sudden we've got all this toxicity level inside our body that never should be inside our body if we were back to having these kind of spaces, because those things are way too big to get through these spaces. So that is what leaky gut actually is, or hyperpermeable intestinal syndrome, if you want to use the big words for it. Now, if anybody has any questions, I probably should have said this at the beginning, but in that Q&A box that that's down at the bottom of your webinar screen, you just type your question in, and we're going to use the last like 10, 15 minutes of the webinar, and we'll answer any questions that you might have.
To our Trust Your Gut program, where you can reset your hormones, conquer the body's stress response, and enhance health performance through our lifestyle guidance system. At this point, you've hopefully made the decision that a different route needs to be taken to accomplish your ultimate health goals. You may be experiencing a variety of symptoms that you can just manage with prescription and over-the-counter medications. Maybe you're just looking to be more committed to healthy living and using this program to prevent these ailments from appearing in the first place. We want you to rest assured that once we start addressing the underlying cause, your body will know exactly what to do to correct itself. Before we get started, I want to take you through an exercise. We're going to bring up a number of symptoms and conditions, and I want you to keep track of how many symptoms you may be experiencing and the number of conditions. Let's begin. Are you having clinical symptoms like pain, headaches, migraines, maybe thyroid or hormonal imbalances? Do you ever experience gastrointestinal issues, like abdominal bloating or cramps, irritable bowel, ulcerative colitis, or Crohn's disease? What about respiratory conditions, such as chronic sinusitis, asthma, or allergies? Have you ever been diagnosed with an autoimmune condition, such as rheumatoid arthritis, chronic fatigue, fibromyalgia, or lupus? What about developmental or mental health concerns, such as ADD, ADHD, or anxiety? What about dreaded skin conditions, such as eczema, rashes, and hives? Do you have a history of food allergies or sensitivities? A history of antibiotic use? Or just trouble losing weight? If you are experiencing 2 or more of these symptoms, or one of these conditions, chances are you have leaky gut or intestinal permeability. Before we get into the details, let's take a look at what we're up against if we want to create health.
The diabetes, the arthritis, the heart disease, the dementia, the obesity, the cancers are affecting about 70% of deaths. We have an epidemic cascade of debilitating disease that's overcoming the country. 18% of children are morbidly obese right now. We're on par to have 1 in 3 people be diabetic in the next 25 years. That's crazy statistics. Have this very dangerous situation. Large amounts of these substances have unquestionably been associated with clogged arteries, high blood pressure, diabetes, autoimmune diseases. Absolutely, the science is solid. We're talking life and death.
Health organizations have become co-opted. They are taking money from the very industries who are causing the problems.
There's a very strong pharmaceutical industry and lobby that has a huge stake in preserving the status quo.
We've got a $35 billion stack drug industry. Do they ever want to see that go away?
The government's in bed with anyone that gives them the most money.
These are government programs.
Consumers have no idea.
We consider it normal that a town the size of the town I grew up in gets wiped out every year. If that many people were being killed by some terrorist group in the United States every year, we would find them.
From a community standpoint, from all other aspects, we're in a state of emergency.
They care more about cooperation than they do. They spend at least $138 million lobbying Congress.
These companies really have a vested interest in making sure that the public doesn't have information about their effects.
Any little thing that comes up, and they beat it to death. They're trying to silence people from not speaking out and not showing the truth. If that's where you want to go with this, I'm sorry, I'm not the person that you should be talking to. European Associated side.
So you may be asking, what is leaky gut or intestinal permeability? Well, the human digestive tract is where food is broken down and nutrients are absorbed. The digestive system also plays an important role in protecting your body from harmful substances. The walls of the intestines act as barriers, controlling what enters the bloodstream to be transported to your organs. Small gaps in the intestinal wall, called tight junctions, allow water and nutrients to pass through while blocking the passage of harmful substances. Intestinal permeability refers to how easily substances pass through the intestinal wall. When the tight junctions of intestinal walls become too loose, the gut becomes more permeable, which may allow bacteria and toxins to pass from the gut into the bloodstream. This phenomenon is commonly referred to as leaky gut. When the gut is leaky and bacteria and toxins can enter the bloodstream, it can cause widespread inflammation and possibly trigger a reaction from the immune system. So what causes it? There are a number of causes for leaky gut. Let's go through them one by one. The first is excessive sugar intake. An unhealthy diet high in sugar, particularly fructose, harms the barrier function of the intestinal wall. Nonsteroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, or NSAIDs. The long-term use of NSAIDs, like ibuprofen, can increase intestinal permeability and contribute to leaky gut. Excessive alcohol intake. Excessive alcohol intake may increase intestinal permeability. Nutrient deficiencies. Deficiencies in vitamin A, vitamin D, and zinc have each been implicated in increased intestinal permeability. Inflammation. Chronic inflammation throughout the body can contribute to leaky gut syndrome. Stress. Chronic stress is a contributing factor to multiple gastrointestinal disorders, including leaky gut. Poor gut health. There are millions of bacteria in the gut, some beneficial and some harmful. When the balance between the two is disrupted, it can affect the barrier function of the intestinal wall. Yeast overgrowth. Yeast is naturally present in the gut, but an overgrowth of yeast may contribute to leaky gut. Mainly, this is caused by too many rounds of antibiotics. If these causes are not corrected and left untreated, unfortunately, it can start to affect other organs and body systems. For example, for 90% of Americans experiencing hypothyroidism, or low thyroid function, it is caused by Hashimoto's, an autoimmune thyroid disease. Since most of the immune system is still situated in the gastrointestinal, or GI tract, poor gut health is a significant factor in triggering and exacerbating autoimmune diseases, such as Hashimoto's. An important step in taming Hashimoto's is to repair gut health. The gut, the brain, and our hormones are meant to be in communication. They support each other and work together to make our body run smoothly. In fact, our intestinal cells have special receptors for hormones that allow them to detect hormonal shifts. When the gut is leaky and bacteria and toxins enter the bloodstream, it can cause widespread inflammation and possibly trigger a reaction from the immune system. Gastro symptoms of leaky gut syndrome include bloating, food sensitivities, stomach cramping, and other digestive issues. Extreme tiredness can also be associated with leaky gut syndrome. Your immune system is chronically overactive, which starts to fatigue the body rapidly. Commonly, this is where people start to rely on multiple caffeine drinks to get through the day. Common respiratory conditions, such as allergies, sinusitis, and asthma, cause occasional breathing difficulties. Because of the overactive immune response from the gut leaking, the mucous membranes and the lining of the sinus cavity and lungs become inflamed, causing respiratory issues. Eczema, psoriasis, and scleroderma are all conditions causing irritation of the skin or thickened areas of skin, which could be linked to leaky gut syndrome. Undigested proteins and toxins should not be released out of the digestive tract. But if an individual has increased intestinal permeability, these substances can get into the bloodstream, and your body tries to get rid of the toxins through your skin, causing a skin reaction. Gut bacteria, especially in the small intestine, have been linked to a range of diseases, including autoimmune conditions characterized by an immune system attack on healthy tissue. To shed light on this, a Yale research team focused on a bacterium they discovered that was able to get outside of the gut lining to lymph nodes, the liver, and the spleen. Your immune system tries to counter this from happening, which causes a self-attack on your own body tissues. This is how autoimmunity begins. Unfortunately, there are several hundred autoimmune diseases today because of the lack of knowledge and solutions for the cause of the condition. New research shows it's from addressing the microbiome and gut health.
Number 1, the microbiome to prevent, diagnose, and treat disease.
Our microbes have a mind of their own. They play a big role in health and disease. And the trillions of bacteria making up communities in our body are called the microbiome. Chemicals emitted interfere with the way food is digested, medicine is deployed, and how a disease, like heart disease, metabolic disorders, or even cancer, progresses. Discoveries are being made on potential of the microbiome to develop new diagnostics that can detect relevant microbe imbalances, that can create new therapies to correct imbalances, and can advance new probiotic products to prevent dangerous imbalances. A newly created National Microbiome Initiative will invest $121 million from federal agencies and another $400 million from outside sources to accelerate research and development and make the microbiome healthcare's most promising and lucrative frontier in 2017.
Well, today you've learned about the causes of leaky gut, what it is, and how it affects our organs and body systems. So it's time to resolve this. Let's get to the solution. As you can see, leaky gut shares many of its symptoms with other health conditions. This can make the condition difficult for doctors to identify. But you're in the right place because our office uses a doctor-supervised protocol not only to identify intestinal permeability, but also reduce and resolve the causes of it. We have a solution that's broken down into 3 simple phases. Phase 1 is our heal and seal phase. Phase 2 is detox and de-stress. Phase 3 is replenish and rebuild. Let's look at these 3 phases and their responsibilities. Phase 1, heal and seal. We must eliminate the things that are causing the issues in your gut, which are possible parasites, candida, and food sensitivities, which will give it a chance to heal. Then, we'll seal any gaps that may have developed in your gut lining, all while supporting your nutritional needs and removing the culprits that cause gut inflammation. We use our Blueprint Heal and Seal formulas, which serve as a fuel source and a precursor for the growth of rapidly dividing cells of the gastrointestinal mucosal lining. Phase 2, detox and de-stress. We understand that the gut lining has been damaged for quite some time. So now, since the gut is sealed, the digestive tract needs to be cleared, and the blood must be cleansed. In order to do that, we use our Blueprint Detox and De-stress formulas to help support gastrointestinal function and balance detoxification by binding toxic metals and pulling them out of the body safely, while also killing underlying bacteria and viruses, which will help clear the body's debris from years of damage. The reason most people do not do well on detoxification programs is because their gut hasn't been sealed, and they do not have a good binding agent to pull the foreign invaders out of the body. They also usually do not have the support to reduce the amount of stress that is put on the body during this time. Phase 3 is rebuild and replenish. Now that we've gotten the parasites, candida, and food sensitivities at bay, while sealing the gut in our heal and seal phase, and removed bacterial, viral, and microbial pathogens, and bound toxins and heavy metals with our detox and de-stress phase, it's time to rebuild the microbiome. We call this phase 3, rebuild and replenish. We first reintroduce the balance of a healthy digestive tract by addressing its acidifying factors, by providing a formula that balances hydrochloric acids and provides enzymes. Then we will reintroduce probiotic health, which are found in our Blueprint Biotic Pro. This provides beneficial bacteria, including the extensively studied HBN019 strand of Bifidobacterium lactis. Then we introduce specific colostrum to modulate a healthy immune response, which supports the thymus, which is known as the command center of the immune system. Now that you know that all these symptoms have one main cause and one main solution, let's look at what needs to be done to get you moving in the appropriate direction. First, we want to assure you that you will have all the tools you need. Our handbook and online resources walk you through in detail what you've learned today about leaky gut and how it relates to the conditions that you have been concerned with. But most importantly, we will guide you through the step-by-step process that gets you moving in the right direction. There are certain dietary and lifestyle changes that will help you improve your gut health that are shared with these resources. Dietary tips such as how to eat healthy on the program while dining out, eating to boost beneficial gut bacteria and reduce food sensitivities, eating foods rich in prebiotic fiber and what those foods are, reducing weight but eating more, how to avoid sugar and artificial sweeteners without getting cravings. The guide also covers lifestyle changes on how to improve your overall health, tips on exercising regularly, getting enough sleep every night, reducing stress, and avoiding unnecessary use of antibiotics, and a specific nutritional and supplemental protocol that only our doctors provide and have access to. Our protocol is doctor supervised. Therefore, you will not be able to find this protocol or nutritional supplements in stores or online. You will get 24/7 online communication and support from our staff and doctor. Daily motivational emails keep you on track. Daily recipes satisfy your taste buds. And we even have an app where you can do everything right from your smartphone. I know what you're thinking. I'll have access to support all the time? Absolutely. Let's review the phases of care that are going to guide you back toward health and healing. The supplemental resources to heal and seal your gut are the following: Blueprint Bone Broth, or Plant Pro NG if you're vegan. These powders are a no-grain, nutritional food source of protein. Blueprint Cleanse reduces the abundance of Candida overgrowth. Blueprint Remove is what helps with underlying parasitic infections and gently removes them. Blueprint Seal is the formula used for sealing the intestinal tract from leaking. You'll also receive a medical device that helps you detect your food sensitivities in real time. Synergistically, this all works together to repair the intestinal lining. The supplemental resources that are used in Phase 2, Detox and De-stress, are the following: Blueprint GI Alive, which helps nourish and support specific structures in your GI tract. Blueprint EnviroPro helps safely remove insecticide, pesticide, and environmental toxins, such as heavy metals, from your cells. Blueprint Clear helps bind these toxins and remove them from the body. Blueprint Shield targets any underlying viruses, bacteria, or microbes that could be compromising your immune system. Blueprint Cortisol B helps neutralize the stress response in your body to support the detox process and reduce overall anxiety. Synergistically, these all work together to detox and de-stress the body. The supplemental resources that are used in Phase 3, Replenish and Rebuild, are the following: Blueprint Balance, which helps with our acidifying factors in the digestive system. We need this balance to digest food properly. Blueprint Immune contains naturally extracted colostrum from New Zealand to support your immunity, especially the thymus gland, which is the command center of the immune system. Blueprint Biotic Pro are clinically studied probiotics to help repopulate good bacteria in our intestinal tract. Blueprint Plant Pro is a revolutionary plant blend to provide a high amino acid profile in a plant-based protein to nourish your body during this rebuilding and replenishing phase. Synergistically, this all works together to replenish and rebuild the digestive system. Unfortunately, health is not a state we can stay in without effort. We feel it is important to continue with a full-spectrum wellness approach to ensure lasting results. Most programs do not have a follow-up program to ensure your health and well-being long-term. There have been decades upon decades of research and development about the health and wellness of individuals. We wanted to take a simple and fundamentally sound approach to decreasing inflammation, neutralizing stress, improving sleep, incorporating pain-free exercise, and simplifying a nutritional and supplemental lifestyle plan. Our Blueprint to Wellness program does this by introducing a 3-part supplement regimen supported by an anti-inflammatory eating plan. It is simple, effective, and a fun way to continue with your health journey after restoring your gut integrity. Well, we would like to say thank you for joining us today, and also that we're excited for you as you get ready to embark on your journey of recovery and a lifetime of wellness. We would love to further help you.
Okay, so you should be able to hear me again. Now, what makes functional medicine so unique? What we're doing is we're spending an amazing amount of money on probiotics and this pill to help with the symptoms of leaky gut and all this kind of stuff. And we never really know if we're fixing the problem. And the reason we never really know it is because we're chasing symptoms all the time. So most probiotics is completely worthless because the hydrochloric acid in the stomach kills off most of the probiotics before it ever gets out of the stomach into the intestinal system where it is necessary. And then even if you rebuild the microbiome or you repopulate the biotics and all that kind of stuff, if you have leaky gut, none of that's going to matter. So there's a definite step-by-step process that has to go on. And this program is specifically focused on the digestive system. We have a total health program, which includes everything in this program, but it also looks at your stress levels and all of the everything. It's the full meal deal, so to speak, of the health program. And it's about, what I tell people is our program is about teaching you. The program is you have a realm of influence that I don't have. And if you can understand why we're doing this and you can understand how we're doing this and why it's working, you can help people that that I don't know be healthy. And that's really how we're going to change the health of America. And this is the key. Now, these, here in a second, I'm going to stop sharing my screen because I'm going to get in front of the camera and I want to show you how you actually test these. Now, this is also in a PDF. So it's also in a PDF. And there's a book, and it's called Chapman's Reflexes. And I think the book was written in the 30s or the 40s. And where most of this stuff came from way back then was the osteopathic world. Because before we created pharmaceuticals and we just kind of gave over to the pharmaceutical companies, osteopaths were actually the best at looking at symptoms and signs that the body was sending us to tell us that we're having problems. So here's an example. In an earlobe, in the fatty part of the earlobe, or the fleshy part of the earlobe, I guess, if you have a diagonal crease through that part of the earlobe, 80% of those people have heart problems. Well, how about skin tags? Usually we get them in the neck area or the armpit area, but 80% of those people have diabetes. And these are points called Chapman's reflex points that are very specific to digestion. So let me stop sharing my screen. So there's a red one, a blue one, and a green one. And like I say, I put this PDF also in the in what we're going to give you. So I'm going to stand up. You're not going to see my face. But what we do with these points is we come down to the end of the sternum, and we have the little xiphoid process that's hanging off the end. And we come down to the bottom of the xiphoid process, and we go over to the side of the rib. So we have the sides of the rib cage, and what we're actually talking about is the side, not on the ribs, but in the side. So we come down to the end of that xiphoid process, and then we go over to the left and we hook. So you want to use on the left side, you want to use the left hand, because you want to hook to the inside of the ribs, the side of the ribs, and you want to rub back and forth. And if there's pain with that on the left side, that is telling you that your body could be, possibly, be low in hydrochloric acid. So if we do the same thing again, we come down to the end of the breastbone, the sternum, and we come to the end of that xiphoid process. But this time we go to the right. So again, we're going to go to the side of the ribs. So we come down to the end and we go to the right, and we use our right hand to hook on the right side of the ribs, and we go back and forth with this. And if that is painful, that can point us in the direction of an enzyme deficiency inside the body, inside your digestive system. So the third one is if we come to the end of the sternum, we don't go down on the xiphoid process, we just come down to the end of the sternum, and then we come straight over about at the nipple line in between the ribs, and you rub back and forth on the muscle in between the ribs at the nipple line. If that is painful, what that is a general point from the Chapman's reflexes about the digestive system in general. So this is part of the stuff that we actually teach you in the programs that we do, because these are simple things. Your body is constantly sending you signals, constantly. The problem is we don't pay any attention to the signals anymore. We have become completely dependent upon a blood test and a urinalysis and an x-ray. And I'm not against those tests. They're wonderful tests. But whatever happened to the doctor touching you, whatever happened to listening to the body wants to be healthy, and it will not lie to us if it's not healthy. What it will do is it will send us a signal. What we need to do is be adapt at listening to the body talk to us. And that's probably one of the biggest parts. I mean, yes, we want your digestive system to feel better, and we want it to work better, and we want you to not have these problems, but we don't want that to ever come back. And so one of the things that we do for you is we teach you these things like these Chapman points. And then you can monitor this thing at home for the rest of your life. And this gives you, and if all of a sudden that point, the red point, the hydrochloric acid point, and up here I made the colors. Whoa, look at all that stuff. I made the colors the same as the dot to tell you which one was which. And like I say, this is in the PDF. There's 3 PDFs, but this is one of them. And that book, it's back in print. You can get it on Amazon, and it's called Chapman's Reflex Points. It goes out of print a lot because nobody really cares anymore. Doctors don't rely upon stuff like this. Insurance does not pay to listen to the body. So the real question comes down, is this year going to be different? You know, they say that 95% of New Year's resolutions have been abandoned by the 12th, 3 days ago. And this is why people are constantly going back and redoing and redoing and redoing and redoing. And it's because we never get to the cause of the problem. We work on the microbiome. We spend all this money on the microbiome, but we got holes in the gut. And so we're never going to get any benefits regardless of how well the microbiome is working if we have leaky gut. So the real question is, are you tired of dealing with digestive problems? And do you want, one of the greatest things that we're seeing with people, and this is anecdotal, there's not any research on it yet, but is the improvement in brain function by fixing the gut. Now remember, that's the book made the connection is called the second brain, because when we can help the gut function better and do better, we're finding that people are getting responses in their brain, in their memory. We're finding that we can get rid of an awful lot of allergies. I mean, the research is beginning to show over 90% of allergies can be dealt with if we just heal the gut up. We got to seal it first. Then we've got to kill everything, the bacteria and all that stuff. But if you still have holes in it, killing that's not going to matter at all. And then we have to rebuild that microbiome, but you do that last. You do that when everything else has been fixed, because that is what needs to be done to make everything work correctly. But if there's holes in the gut, or if there's bacterial infections, a great microbiome isn't going to make any difference at all. So what are the next steps as far as this particular program goes? Number one, you can book a free health planning session with me. We do this. They're 30-minute sessions. We do them online. We do them in the office. Probably half my patients don't even live in Arizona. I have patients in Louisiana and Iowa and Australia and Japan. We have patients all over the world. So the internet is a wonderful tool. We're no longer restricted to working with patients that could come in the office. So then what you need to do, we have several different ways. We just presented the Digestive Specific program to you today. We have other programs. We have a lot of programs. So one of the things that we do is we go over these programs with you, and then you decide which program is the best. And then we have created a step-by-step process. I am here to help you walk the journey. I can't walk it for you. I can't make you healthy. But I am here, and as I tell my patients, I am here to comfort the afflicted, but I'm also here to afflict the comfortable. Because sometimes my patients need a shoulder to cry on. I want to be there for them. But sometimes they need a swift kick in the butt to get them back moving. I'm here to be that for you. I care enough about you and my patients to give you what you need to be successful. I'm not here to make you feel good emotionally and not hurt your feelings. I want you to be successful. I want your digestive system to be done. I want gas and bloating and diarrhea and constipation and all the things that go along with a normal digestive problem not working correct that we attribute it to. I want that to work well. And it's whatever we have to do to get that. So I put, as I said earlier, I put rocks in a creek so that you can walk across the creek to get to the other side. And that's my job, is to guide you. You know, Luke Skywalker had Yoda. Right? So I'm Yoda, I guess. You're Luke Skywalker. Or you could be Princess Leia. So the fourth thing is, once you walk a step-by-step process, you actually have health. You know, I tell people, I just turned 69 years old. And most people wouldn't know that that's my age. And the reason they wouldn't know it is I don't look like a person that's normally what we think of when we see 69 years old. And that's how we can age. We don't have to age the way the system tells us that we have to age. So I want to thank you for doing this and coming in, and hopefully it wasn't too choppy. Like I say, it was my first webinar. It's hard. I teach live all the time, but I can gauge what I'm doing based upon the results or the reactions of the people sitting in the audience, and I can't do that here. This is way harder. I'm really surprised how hard it was. But so in the Q&A, if you have any questions, we got about 7 minutes or so. And so type your question in there and I'll be more than happy to answer them. But remember, you know, my wife's family is all from Portland. Oh, let me tell you about the PDFs we're going to give you. One of the hugest things that cause leaky gut is gluten. And everybody who has ever told me that they're off of gluten, when I give them the list of everything that has gluten in it, they say, oh my gosh, I guess I'm not off gluten. They put gluten in everything. And the problem is the government says that there's only gluten in 13 grains. So as long as you don't have one of those 13 grains in your product, you can say it's gluten-free, which probably isn't true. See, they have to tell you what's in your food, but they don't have to tell you what's in what they put in your food. There is gluten in shampoo. There is gluten in toothpaste. There's gluten in a lot of supplements. There's gluten in all makeup. There's gluten in most lotions. When we used to lick stamps, there's gluten in the glue to lick stamps. There's gluten in Play-Doh. Don't eat your Play-Doh. You're getting gluten. So what we have in that we're going to send you a link in an email, and it will allow you to go, and there's 3 PDFs in there. The first one is a general, we have a new organization that's actually certifying that things are actually gluten-free. It tells you all about that. We also have 5 pages. I created a table, and in it is all the grains that actually do have gluten, all of the non-food products that do have gluten, all the food additives. My wife puts ketchup on absolutely everything. It's unbelievable. We don't just buy regular ketchup bottles. We buy these ketchup bottles that are like this big. You got to put them under your arm and squeeze them to get the ketchup out. That's how much ketchup we use in our house. And I don't put ketchup on anything. So, but I was standing at the front, or standing in the refrigerator one day, and on the door was a Kroger's ketchup. I shop at Fry's, and it was a Kroger's ketchup. And right on it, it said a gluten-free food. And I knew that wasn't true. But they can say that because it didn't have the 13 grains in it. So in that list, it really goes through things that actually have gluten in it. And like I say, you will be amazed at how much stuff has gluten. All alcohol has gluten in it because almost all alcohol are made from grains. There's a lot of things that we would consider healthy grains that have gluten in it. Quinoa has gluten in it. So the book we recommend to people is Dr. Osborne's book, No Grain, No Pain. Now, there are other great books out there, but we always recommend his book. It's an easier read. It's not an easy read, but it's an easier read than most of the doctor's books. And he's devoted his entire life to gluten. And so, I'm not here to reinvent the wheel. I haven't donated my life to gluten. He has, so we're going to use him for that kind of stuff. So, but in there's going to be 3 PDFs. The general one telling you about this new organization that has been formed that is actually certifying gluten-free food. Then there is the list of the gluten-free products. And then there are those Chapman's reflexes that we showed you when I showed you on the body that we actually have that PDF that you saw in the presentation. We have that in there, and that will show you where the points are. It doesn't, if the point is tender, it doesn't absolutely mean that you have it, but it is a warning sign that we should probably have this checked out. It's like those diagonal ear creases, or it's like the skin tags at the base of the neck or in the armpit area. If you have those, doesn't mean you absolutely have heart problems or diabetes. What it means is we should go check this out. The body wants to be healthy. The body is constantly sending us signals on when it is not being healthy. So questions for me? We got about 2 minutes before I got to go. Any questions? And if there isn't a question in a few minutes, I'm going to head out of here. But I appreciate you coming in for the talk. Like I say, it is my first. On our website, we have, and it's TucsonFunctionalMedicine.com. And under the website, we have a About Us, and in there is Dr. T's teaching schedule. So like on the 5th of February, we're teaching specifically on leaky gut. It is a whole hour, not on leaky gut and what else we need to do. It is just purely on leaky gut. On the 19th, we're teaching on neuropathy. In March, we're teaching on how everything that you ever were taught about cholesterol is wrong. And so we have our whole year of schedule of our webinars on our website, Trent, TucsonFunctionalMedicine.com. You should go check that out, see our schedule. And by the end of the weekend, we will have buttons underneath each one. I don't have them right now, but we'll have buttons underneath each one of those seminars. And all you do is click it, and you can register for that seminar. Now, remember, if you came here and you are not, you didn't register, make sure that you do register, because we are either register or send me your email address so that I can get you those PDFs. All right. And if you, then that's Dr. T at Tucson Functional Medicine Clinic. So it's just DRT, no periods, no capitals, no nothing, at TucsonFunctionalMedicine.com. And send me information if you want to get together and talk about how we can help you and what your specific things are. We meet with people for half an hour, and 20 minutes of it is you talking, because you're the key to your health. I don't know your body as well as you do. There is no way I can ever understand your body as well as you do. And so I would be a fool not to listen to you, because you're the key. And we just, like I say, 7, 8, 9 minutes, there's just no way we're going to be able to get to the cause of your problem and solve your problem in that amount of time. Our normal visits for functional medicine patients is an hour. You are that important to us. So I don't see any questions, so I am going to think about moving on to my next goal here, which is to see some more patients this afternoon. So if you don't have any questions, I thank you for coming to this seminar. And I ask that you come to the next ones and tell your friends, because the name of the game is for us to get the word out that there is doctors who actually care enough to spend the time with you and teach you how to need the doctors less. So TucsonFunctionalMedicine.com, website or email Dr. T, DRT at Tucson Functional Medicine. And if you did not register, give me your email address so I can get you those PDFs. And if you would just like to sit down and talk, send me a little message and we will schedule you for 30 minutes, whether it be in the office or whether it be on the internet, like what we're doing right here. We will get together with you and figure out what we can do to help you and what you want, because you're the boss. I work for you. Thank you so much for coming in and listening to this. Maybe I'll see you in a couple of weeks. The 5th, leaky gut, a whole hour on nothing but leaky gut. We just kind of grazed over the top of it here. So thank you for coming. Send me the email if you haven't, and watch in the next few hours and you'll get that link so you can get those downloads, those PDF downloads. Thank you very much for being here. Thank you. Bye-bye.